welcome back to my channel. So today I am sharing with you some of my newest plants that I have in my collection. And almost all of these plants were ones that I've either traded with friends. Some of them are gifts from friends, which blows my mind. I don't even know what I've done in this world to have such great people in my life. Some are that I've never shown before, so I'm excited to share with you guys. So let's get right into it. So the first few I'm going to share with you are from a dear friend. Her name is also Lauren. Some of you might know her as Ren, but she was so generous in doing a trade with me, and then also stopped by before Christmas, and she messages me and she's like, hey, did you ever get one of those, blah, blah, blah. I can just chop you off a chunk of it. And I was like, oh, you don't have to do that. Don't do that. Well, this girl comes in. This is what she considers a chunk. The first plant is an Anthurium Selby silver. Like, Lauren, this is just a chunk of the plant to her. This is a full-blown plant. How generous was that? I've wanted one of these for so long. They just intrigued me so much. I love the like mutated look on the leaves, and the super, so you can see this on camera, that the pink on the sinus there, and then they have super pink petioles too. Can you see on the back? How gorgeous is this one? So she literally chopped it before she brought it here, and I see some roots, but so this has a very much of like a clumping growth pattern. She said that this plant literally just pops out growth points like nobody's business, and you can kind of see that in the way you can see all the growth points right there. So I'm excited to grow this one and see how it does in my care. She says it's a pretty easy grower. So I'm excited about this one, to finally have it. How pretty is she? So once again, this one is an Anthurium Selby's silver. So that same day, she also brought me the next plant, and I remember when she got this plant, I think she got it from Equigenera, I want to say maybe early 2022. I remember she sent me a picture of it, and I was like, oh, that one's so cool. And it has been one that I've wanted to get for quite some time, but I just keep forgetting to order it. I don't order from Equigenera very often, so I just didn't get one. And again, she brought me this plant. Tell me how this is just a chunk of the plant. This is a full-blown plant. Like, what? This one is an Anthurium Magnificum crossed Moranense. How flippin' cool is this one? And again, she chopped it literally right before she brought it to me, and look at that root already. So this one has taken to the chop, no problem. There is a little bit of yellowing on some of the lower leaves, but that's fine. It's normal. I might lose them, but how cool is this? And like, really, this is what she considers just a piece of her plant. This is a full-blown plant. My gosh. I have some super generous people in my life, and I am so thankful. This is the newest leaf. It looks like it got a little bit mangled when it came out, but still beautiful. So this one, once again, whoops, there it is a Anthurium Magnificum crossed with a Moranense. And the next one is also from Lauren. It was a trade that I did with her, I believe in November. I think it doesn't have any of the leaves that it actually came with, but it's grown a few leaves since then. And this one here is an Anthurium Dark Mama. So there's a lot of anthuriums. It looks quite different than the ones that you would maybe see. Apparently she said this one is from Hawaii, from a collector in Hawaii. So this one is definitely taking on more of the Queen Warocqueanum traits in this plant. But how pretty. And so this is the newest leaf. It's still hardening off. I do find that it will harden off to this bit darker color, like this leaf. It's still quite light on this one. I am growing this in quite a bit darker conditions, I think, than she was. And the leaves are darkening up. Isn't she pretty? So far, been a really easy grower for me. I haven't transitioned it from moss yet, but we've got some nice roots there in the moss. She's probably ready to move to an aroid mix. So once again, this beauty is an Anthurium Dark Mama. And I guess staying along the lines of trades, the next plant is one that I traded with a friend from Victoria, and he has a beautiful collection of a lot of really fancy anthuriums and plants that have come from the States and from collectors there. And I was very excited to trade for this one. It came to me with, well, it had 2 leaves, 1 broke in transit. So essentially it had 1 leaf when I got it. I did move it to an aroid mix recently. And this beauty here is a Anthurium Fort Sherman crossed with a Ralph Linam. This is the newest leaf. She's a little bit wonky, but I love her all the same. So I think this might have been the 1 leaf that it came with, and then she grew this one and then this one. So sized up quite nicely. I'm excited for the next leaf to come. Looks like there's something brewing in there, but yeah, look at this size difference. Like, that's a pretty good size up. So I'm excited for the next one. How gorgeous. I think what this might have been is that I might have just underwatered it slightly when the leaf was coming out, but it's okay. She's still beautiful. And I'm actually excited to breed this one when it gets a little bit bigger. How pretty. I love it. So this one, like, look at these ears. Oh my God, it's so beautiful. So this one, once again, is an Anthurium Fort Sherman crossed with a Ralph Linam. Beauty. So the next one is one that I got from Equigenera, and I got this one in, I think, November of 2022. It's not a plant that I ever really sought after or wanted. I just happened to go to the Equigenera pop-up here in Vancouver on day 2, and it's when they had 50% off, and I was like, well, I'll see what's available. Me and Rylan made it a fun day, a little outing, and it was around Halloween. So it was October. We got some pumpkins from the nursery where they were doing the pop-up, and I got some plants, so it was a win-win for both of us. Anyways, it was a fun day, and I got some fun plants, and like I said, this one wasn't one that I went there thinking I was going to get, but it was 50% off. It was still kind of expensive, but I thought, I'm going to get it. I'm going to grow it and see how it does. So the next one is an Anthurium. This one's a little bit big. Longisilobum. I have no idea if I'm saying that correct, but it sounds right to me. So, so this guy, how beautiful. It's a unique Anthurium, and I feel like it's not for everybody. It is not velvety, and it's not really your typical, leaf shape, but it's beautiful nonetheless. So has only given me 1 leaf, which was this one, and one of his ears seems to be a little bit underdeveloped, but other than that, came out pretty good. A little bit smaller than its last leaf, but that's normal for a first leaf. If I look at the older leaves on this plant, It does seem to be one that can size up quite fast just based on looking at, its older leaves here. So excited to watch this one grow. I had no, oh goodness, I got moss all over me. I had no issues with rooting this one through acclimation. It never browned. It's been really easy for me. So he's just in moss still. And as you can see, there's a ton of roots in there. So, I mean, it's happy in moss, but I probably will move it into an aroid mix when I have some time. Maybe I'll do it on camera with everybody. I got so much repotting to do. But what do we think of this guy? Do we like him? I think he's kind of cute. I know these were like going for a lot at one point last year. I think the price has come down a little bit. I did write on here, so this was Canadian prices, and I got 50% off this price, but I wrote on here $210. So I think I would have paid $105 for this one. And he's pretty cute. I was okay spending that much for this one. So, let's see if I can get him in the camera. Once again, this one is a Anthurium Longisilobum. And if I'm saying that one wrong, I am sorry, but let me look at the tag. Longisilobum. I think that's right. So there he is. So the next one is a very exciting one for me. This is a plant that I had in my collection and I sold it I think I sold it early 2020, if not late 2019. Either way, I sold it before the price of them really spiked up, and needless to say, I regretted that sale because I was not paying the prices that they eventually went up to. And so I just, I kind of said, one day it'll come back into my collection and I can wait. And fast forward a good 2 years, I have a friend who is a dear friend of mine in this plant community. He helps me around the shop and he's at the pop-ups, and I just love his enthusiasm for plants and collecting plants, and the enthusiasm is so infectious and I just love it. I love his energy, and he asked me if I could help him find one of these plants. So I said sure. So I reached out to a supplier. He had the plant that we were going to buy for him, and unfortunately my supplier sold it to somebody else without telling us, but he said, I have another one, and it was a little bit more expensive than the last one was. So I said, hey, how about I'll take a bottom cut. I'll have one leaf. I'll take the one leaf, I'll pay the difference. You still pay the same price. So we got the plant, it came in, it shipped fantastic. Unfortunately, most of the roots were at the bottom cut. So I said, well, why don't you just keep the plant for a while? Once it roots out at the top, we'll just chop it. So fast forward a couple months, he kept this plant until it literally was rooted and growing a new leaf and brought it to me. He didn't have to do that. This plant is Philodendron Billietiae variegated. And I am so happy to have this back in my collection. Look at how beautiful she is. And this is the new leaf. Look at the variegation on the new leaf. I'm so happy. It's always a gamble with variegated plants, obviously, when you chop them at what you're gonna get. And these can be risky when you chop them. I've seen so many times where you chop them and they just revert. So, but that was I knew that going into this, and I said, whatever it is, it is. If it reverts, so be it. That's, these things can happen. So I am beyond that this has so much variegation on it. Can you guys see that? Like, it's so pretty. I'm so excited to have this back in my collection and grow it again. The plant that I actually sold that I had before, the genes on that plant, I actually sold it to someone who also had a plant shop. So I think she did end up chopping it up. Another friend of mine ended up with a piece of it. And every time she posted a picture of it, I was just like, oh, a stab to the heart. It was so gorgeous. The genes were so perfect. So I cannot wait to grow this out. I hope this beautiful variegation stays. And Jessie, thank you so much for being so sweet and holding on to this one until it was rooted and growing. Like, you really didn't have to do that. So this one's in moss. Look at how many roots got. It's beautiful. So thank you. So once again, this beauty here is in Philodendron Billietiae variegated. Okay, the last plant is one that so I've mentioned it before that I don't make wish lists for myself, but this is definitely one that was like in the back of my mind, like I would love to have one of those and be able to grow it out one day. And the price of them was ridiculous. Like, I was never going to spend that much money on a plant. So I knew that it was probably going to be quite a few years before I got this plant. And Jessie, my dear friend Jessie, he actually gifted this to me and Anna. There are 2 nodes. We're going to grow it out a little bit before we cut it. I don't know, like I said before, I don't know what I've done in this world to deserve such amazing people. Like, the generosity of the plant community, sometimes it just floors me. I'm so overwhelmed by I keep looking at it over here because I'm so excited. So I have, it wasn't really rooting for me when I first got it. He brought it over in some moss. He chopped it. He has everything, I think, in soil. So he chopped it, but he knows that I like to root out in moss. So he threw it in some moss for me. And the roots kind of rotted pretty quickly. So I took it out of moss and I actually just popped it in some water. It wasn't really doing much for a long time. So I decided I'm going to show you what the plant is now, because I'll tell you why I decided to move it to leca. The plant is a philodendron. It doesn't look like much yet. Burle Marx flame. I always want to call it a Burle Marx fantasy, but it is not. It is a flame. She's a flamin'. She's hot. Holy wow. I cannot wait. So if you guys follow Kevin, he's Hakuna La Planta. He showed his plant on his channel, and the claw, love the claw, but he actually had his in leca. So I was like, well, it's not doing anything in water. It kind of looked like it wanted to root in water, but then it just wouldn't go any farther. So I was like, well, you know what, Kevin has his in leca, it must be. I know monsteras love leca, so I'm gonna do it. So I popped her in leca, and I hope you can see this on. Do you see that little root right there? Right there. She's rooting. And I can't wait. And it's put out this little tiny leaf since the chop. Little baby leaf. So I hope that this can grow massive, because these are beautiful when they are big. This leaf is yellowing a little bit, but she's hanging on. So again, doesn't look like much now, but you wait. Hopefully I can get this to grow nice and big. I don't know how fast of a grower these are. It hasn't done much for me, admittedly. I got this in it was before Christmas. I want to say maybe November. But now that it's rooting, I think we should be able to get some more growth coming out of her. So I'm so excited for this one. So once again, this one is a Philodendron Burle Marx flame. And that's it for today. Thank you guys so much for joining me again. If you liked the content, please like and subscribe. It really helps me grow this channel, and we'll see you in the next one. Bye.